Welcome to this presentation. We're going to be looking at the Rams and whether or not they should change home venue from St. Louis to Los Angeles. This presentation is done by Joshua Congleton, Sarah Dennis, Jaylee Mays, and Ellie Ova.
In 1937, a franchise was granted in Cleveland, Ohio to form the Rams football team. Their uniforms were red and black. In 1939, just 2 years after the start of the team, a rookie tailback, Earl Dutch Clark, was awarded the MVP. This shows the team's strength even from the beginning, that just 2 years after creation they already had an MVP. In 1940, the team switched to their iconic blue and gold uniform colors. These are the colors that the team still uses to this day. In 1943, the team suspended all games for one season to allow for players and fans, etc., to help with the war effort. In 1946, the team made their first move to Los Angeles. In 1948, the famous Rams head curl logo was added to their helmet after being created by halfback Fred Gierke. This made the Rams the first NFL team with their logo on their helmet. In 1995, after 49 years in Los Angeles, the team moved to St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis had built a special stadium where the Rams could play. Unfortunately for St. Louis, in 2016, which is where this study takes place, the Rams were contemplating moving back to Los Angeles. In this case, we will discuss the potential move of the Rams from St. Louis back to Los Angeles in 2016. We will discuss both the pros and the cons, as well as the economic benefits and costs for the move. We will consider the image that the team and the organization will have in both cities, as well as the image presented to the fans.
Hello, I'm Jaylee, and I will be discussing with you the pros of the Rams moving to Los Angeles. One advantage that the Rams would gain is that they're moving to the 8th richest city in the United States. Being one of the wealthiest cities in the United States, this would allow the Rams to increase the prices for tickets, since it is a richer place. Not only will the Rams be able to increase ticket prices, but also the prices for snacks, beverages, and Ram merchandise. The Rams would need to fluctuate prices according to the equilibrium prices for those products. They would have to kind of play with these prices to figure out what the equilibrium price would be for these products. The second advantage that comes from the move to Los Angeles is that Los Angeles is way bigger than St. Louis is population-wise. According to an article from Sanford Business Reports, St. Louis has roughly 2.8 million people, while Los Angeles has 18.5 million people. Guys, this is 660% bigger than, or Los Angeles is 660% bigger than St. Louis. Los Angeles being almost 7 times bigger means that there are more attractions than there will be in St. Louis. There's going to be more restaurants, more theme parks, more entertainment. It's just bigger. So, with this being said, this will attract more fans from the Rams to go to their games in Los Angeles because there are more attractions for them to go do in their free time, say before the game or after the game. On the next slide, I'll be showing you the breakout of how much increase there will be on fan size. What we have here is a lovely diagram. I gathered some information from various sources. In 2016, there was 83,164 attendees to a home Rams game in St. Louis. We assume 25% of this 83,164 fans that lived in St. Louis. So this is roughly 20,791 people. Now, as I mentioned before, there are 2.8 million people that live in St. Louis. So 2.8 million divided by the 20,791 is a little less than 1%. So what we did with this is it's actually 0.74%. We multiplied this by the 18.5 million people that live in Los Angeles, and we get 137,396 or 369 people. This is an increase of 116,578 people. Another source from Statistica showed me that the average ticket price for a Rams game in 2016 was $73. So we multiplied the 137,369 by the $73, and we get an increase of ticket sales moving to Los Angeles by a little less than $1 million. This is a huge benefit moving to Los Angeles due to fans. This will increase ticket sales ginormously if, let's say, that the fans that attend from the hometown is 25%. This is a huge benefit for the Rams. The next advantage to moving to Los Angeles is that the Rams will be getting a new stadium. Yay! With the new stadium, the Rams would be able to attract more fans due to better facilities. The new stadium is projected to create thousands of jobs in the area. This could potentially decrease unemployment in the Los Angeles area by 72% because they're using local businesses to perform these tasks. With the Rams as another attraction for Los Angeles, this would bring in more tourists to Los Angeles as well as new homeowners. The city is projected to have $16 million to $20 million in revenue from housing development, aka property tax. According to Kim Slowly, the Mayor James T. Butts of Inglewood said that they would receive $13 to $14 million in sales tax revenue from material used in construction. So this $13 to $14 million is only coming from the material used in construction, nothing else. This does not include sales tax revenue from tourists or fans that the Rams will bring in with their new stadium. Fans and tourists spend tons of money because most people are not from the hometown, so they go spend the weekend. So there is going to be a lot of tax dollars that is coming in as revenue for other businesses outside of the stadium that will benefit from this. On the next slide, I mentioned the 72% of unemployment decrease. On the next slide, I will be discussing how I came up with that number. As of December 2017, the unemployment in Los Angeles was 47,400 people. From many sources I have read, there has been a projection of 22,000 jobs for just the construction of the Rams Stadium. This is roughly supposed to take about 3 to 4 years to build. This will decrease unemployment by 46%, just these jobs alone. And then after the stadium is built, the stadium is then projected to employ 12,000 people between their new stadium, the little mini shops that they have around, the hotels that they have. These jobs alone will decrease unemployment by 25%. Adding all this together, there's a potential that unemployment could decrease by 72%. This is huge for the Rams and for, Los Angeles, because with the unemployment low, the city would become a more desirable place to live as well as to tour. So you would be getting more income with sales tax, so the city would be making more money, as well as property tax. One of the biggest opportunities that the Rams have in the move to Los Angeles is they have the Raiders and San Diego Chargers are able to join them or have the option to join them in their new stadium. This could be one of the best benefits for the Rams. The reason behind this is that all three teams could split the cost for the new stadiums and the overhead cost as well. The three teams will have to come up with an agreement for how the revenue and expenses will be split, but it will allow the Rams to share the expenses of the new stadium with two other teams. This is a great way, having split liability of the stadium. If something were to go really wrong, it would be spread out among all three teams instead of just one team having to come up with all that money. This is a huge benefit for the Rams. The last advantage I would like to discuss with you is the media market presence that the Rams would have in Los Angeles compared to St. Louis. Having bigger revenue streams and a larger fan base will increase the Rams' presence in the media. Being in Los Angeles has its perks because it is such a large city. Not only the stores, but also the people in the town will be marketing for the Rams because everyone gains from the Rams' success in ticket sales. The more fans there are for the Rams, the more revenue the city will see that can be used to improve the city in any way they want. Marketing can come from local businesses offering specials to those who went to the Rams game, store signs, local or social media such as Twitter or Facebook posts or Instagram posts. There are TV advertisement. There are so many different ways that the Rams can market through other TV. And most of the time, with all this marketing, like such as social media and specials that the local businesses might offer, this stuff is free. What is better than having free marketing? There's nothing better. And especially since it's in your hometown, or in this case, your home city. Now I'll turn it over to Ellie, who will be discussing the cons of the move to LA.
My name is Elizabeth Oba, and I will be talking about the cons of the Rams football team moving to LA. One of the biggest cons is that it would be very detrimental to the city of St. Louis. There would be damage as well to both the NFL and the Rams' ownership reputations, as well as the risk of entering new markets in LA. So according to a 2015 NPR article, losing another team would have a ripple effect on the city of St. Louis. So when the team initially announced that they were interested in relocating, the city responded by trying to entice them to stay by building them a new stadium. According to another 2015 article, that stadium was reported to cost $1 billion, which begs the question, if the Rams were to leave before that stadium is inevitably paid off, who's going to end up paying the bill for it? So if the Rams were to leave the city of St. Louis and head to LA, they could potentially leave the city saddled with the amount of debt that it costs to build the new stadium, which in turn could force St. Louis to bring legal action against either the Rams or the NFL. This is similar to a concept in business known as the prisoner's dilemma, and a very common outcome of the prisoner's dilemma is a concept called tit for tat, when essentially both parties involved in a decision will try to harm each other to get the best possible outcome for themselves. In this case, if the team will harm the city by leaving, then the city will most likely try to harm the team by potentially suing them for, of course, leaving them with the debt. The Rams would just basically become a target from a pretty angry city if they were to leave. Also, if the Rams were to leave so abruptly, it could definitely harm their reputation as a franchise. It could also reflect poorly on the NFL, who ignored the pleas of the city for them to stay. And it would also affect them because the Rams have actually moved once before. It was to the city of St. Louis from LA. Reputation plays a very large role in how organizations are viewed by competitors, and it can have repercussions later on down the line. Another con of the Rams moving to LA would be the increased competition that they're going to face down there for a market share. So game theory is the study of interaction between quote-unquote players, no pun intended, in a business market or setting when they have to make decisions involving competition. So it could play a role in this and what the Rams may encounter when they relocate to LA. For example, the other players in the area that they'll be living in include the LA Dodgers, the LA Kings, and the San Diego Chargers football team. who might not react very well to another professional sports league playing and trying to basically take some of their market share, their fans, customers who come to games. They could potentially try to drive out new competitors by retaliating. And a final con for the Rams relocating to LA would be the disruption of their internal fit as an organization. An internal fit is defined as how well all of the activities within an organization work to give the company a competitive advantage. The actual move itself from St. Louis to LA could take a toll on the playing performance of the players, as well as just how well the overall organization works together. And this disruption could cause internal fit to decline, which opens up the risk of competitors taking market share away from the team, which eventually takes away revenue from the team.
Now that we've had a chance to go over the pros and cons, let's take a look at how they stack up. We took each pro and con and scored it based on the impact the result would have on the Rams. They're scored from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest impact and 5 being the most significant impact. The score was the outcome of all the research we've put together for this presentation. As you can see, the pros do outweigh the cons with a positive score of 5. We believe that the impact of the split liability between different teams, the revenue increases in Los Angeles, the marketing possibilities, along with a new stadium, far outweigh the cons of legal implications, competition in LA, and different reputation factors that could come about from moving from St. Louis to Los Angeles. Therefore, it is believed that it would be most favorable for the Rams to move to Los Angeles based on this analysis. Now that we've looked at the pros and cons of this decision, let's look at the atmosphere in Los Angeles. Using Porter's 5 Forces model, we can see what competition in LA looks like. Because new teams in many main sports leagues do not happen very often, and even if they do, there are many other cities to choose from, it seems the threat of new entry into LA is low. If the Rams moved, it is not believed this will cause other teams to want to move to LA either, further showing a low threat. LA does have at least one of every main sports team, which include teams from Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, National Basketball Association, National Hockey League, and of course the National Football League. However, the seasons of the different leagues do not excessively overlap with each other, which minimizes rivalry between the leagues. A sports fan cannot attend a Major League Baseball game toward the end of the NFL season. When the seasons do overlap, the threat of substitution, however, can be moderate. With all venues available, a consumer may opt for a hockey game over a football game if they are both available at the same time. The buyer also has moderate power in this model, as shown by the consideration to move to LA. Ticket sales are a large part of any NFL team's income, and the Rams are looking to increase revenues by moving the team to Los Angeles. Suppliers also have moderate power in this model. Suppliers represent the city's major league sports teams work with and rely on for stadiums, as well as manpower to run them. It is a symbiotic relationship, and while the Rams will need to work with LA to get favorable terms for the stadium build, the increased population of LA is a draw that cannot be ignored. Based on the information gone over in this presentation, it is the conclusion of the members of this study that it would be beneficial for the Rams to make the move back to Los Angeles. While there are some drawbacks to this move relating to bad PR or legal ramifications with leaving St. Louis, we have estimated a positive net impact on both revenues and overall franchise value. Adding to that, the potential of splitting stadium costs with the Chargers makes the decision to move quite attractive. With new stadiums going up across the country for NFL teams, being able to keep up with nice new stadiums is important for ticket revenues. The larger population of LA, coupled with lower stadium costs, creates an economical option. The homecoming marketing opportunities are also ample and should create a good increase in sales. This concludes our presentation. As said in the previous slide, our final recommendation is to proceed with the move to LA. We believe this will be the most beneficial course of action for the franchise. We appreciate your time in listening to our argument and will be available for questions after this presentation. Go Rams!